Death is not the end, but a transition into eternity, either in divine presence or separation from God. From the moment we take our first breath, our time on this earth begins to count down. No one knows the exact day or hour when their time will come, but one thing is certain. One day, every person will step beyond this physical existence and into eternity. The world often tries to avoid this truth, distracting itself with temporary pleasures, material possessions, and the pursuit of success. But the reality of death remains unavoidable. Many people fear death because they see it as an ending, a cessation of existence. They imagine a void, a darkness, an unconscious nothingness. But that is not the truth. Death is not the final chapter. It is merely a doorway leading to what comes next. The body may perish, but the spirit, the eternal essence of who we are, continues. The question is not whether we will continue to exist, but where we will exist. God, in his infinite wisdom and love, has not left us to wonder about this mystery. He has made it clear in his word that eternity has two destinations. One in his presence, where there is peace, joy, and fulfillment beyond measure, and the other in separation from him, where there is regret, torment, and darkness. This is not a matter of superstition or philosophy. It is a spiritual reality that has been revealed to us so that we may prepare while we still have time. Life on earth is temporary, a mere shadow of what is to come. The joys and sorrows, the successes and failures, the pleasures and pains, all of it will pass away in an instant when we step into eternity. This life is not the destination, it is the preparation. Every day, every decision, every action we take is shaping our eternal future. The way we live now determines what happens when we leave this world. Many live as though this life is all there is. They invest everything in their careers, their wealth, their status, believing that if they achieve enough, they can secure their happiness. But no amount of success can stop the certainty of death. No amount of money can purchase an escape from it. No human effort can control it. It is the great equalizer. Rich or poor, strong or weak, famous or unknown, every person will face it. But while death is inevitable, despair is not. For those who walk with God, who trust in him, who surrender their lives to his will, death is not something to be feared. It is a transition into a greater reality, a step into the presence of the one who created us. It is not an end, but a beginning, the fulfillment of everything we were made for. Imagine stepping into a place where there is no more pain, no more sorrow, no more struggle. A place where the burdens of this world fade away and the soul is finally at rest. A place of eternal joy where love is pure and unbroken, where peace is unshakable, and where purpose is fully realized. This is what awaits those who walk with God. This is what eternity in his presence looks like. But just as there is a place of peace, there is also a place of separation. A place where those who rejected God's truth, who chose their own way over his, will find themselves. This is not because God is unloving or cruel, but because he honors the choices of every person. He does not force anyone to be with him. Those who spent their lives running from him will find that in eternity, the desire to be apart from him is granted. And that separation is the greatest suffering of all. People often ask, why would a loving God allow such a thing? The answer is simple. Love requires choice. True love is not forced. It is given freely. God has made his love available to all, but he does not force anyone to accept it. He has provided the way, the truth, the life. But he will not drag anyone into his presence against their will. Every person has the power to choose where they will spend eternity. The greatest tragedy is not death itself, but dying unprepared. So many people assume they have time to get right with God later. They put off seeking Him, believing they will always have another chance. But time is not in our control. Death can come suddenly, unexpectedly, without warning. And once we step into eternity, our destiny is sealed. There is no second chance, no opportunity to change our mind. That is why the time to prepare is now. God, in His mercy, has given us everything we need to be ready. He has given us His Word, His truth, His guidance. He has shown us the path to eternal life, made it clear, made it available to all who seek Him. He has sent messengers, given signs, spoken through His Spirit. There is no lack of opportunity to know Him. The question is whether we will listen. Some believe they can ignore God and still find peace in eternity. They convince themselves that being a good person is enough, that their own efforts will secure their place in heaven. But the truth is, no one can earn their way into God's presence. No one is righteous on their own. That is why Jesus came, not to start a religion, not to impose rules, but to make a way where there was none. He came so that those who were lost could be found, so that those who were bound in sin could be set free, so that those who had no hope could find eternal life. Through Him, the fear of death is removed. Through Him, the uncertainty of eternity is settled. Through Him, the promise of life beyond this world is secured. There is no greater gift, no greater hope, no greater assurance. But a gift must be received. A door must be walked through. God does not force salvation on anyone. He offers it freely, but each person must choose to accept it. Some reject it because they believe they have time. Others reject it because they love the world too much to let it go. Others simply refuse to believe. But none of these excuses will change the reality that eternity is real and death is only the beginning. The wise recognize this truth and live accordingly. They do not waste their days chasing what will not last. They do not ignore the call of God, hoping for a better moment to respond. They live with urgency, with purpose, with awareness of what is to come. They know that life is short, and they use every moment to prepare for what lies ahead. The question every person must ask is this: where will I be when my time comes? Will I step into eternity with confidence, knowing that I am entering into the presence of God? Or will I step into eternity with regret, realizing too late that I ignored the most important truth of all? There is no reason to live in fear of death. There is no reason to be uncertain about eternity. God has made the way clear. He has given every person the opportunity to know Him, to walk with Him, to secure their place in His kingdom. The only thing that remains is the choice. Do not wait until it is too late. Do not assume you will have more time. Do not let the distractions of this world keep you from preparing for what truly matters. Death is not the end. It is only the beginning. The question is, where will your beginning take place? Your earthly choices determine your eternal destiny. Faith, obedience, and purpose matter beyond this life. Every decision you make, every step you take, and every path you choose is shaping the course of your eternity. Many people live as if this life is all there is, investing in temporary pleasures, chasing after material success, and prioritizing what brings them comfort in the moment. But the truth is, life on earth is not the final destination. It is the preparation ground for what comes next. The choices you make here do not simply affect your present circumstances, they carry weight into eternity. Every thought, every action, and every response to God's call is building something beyond what your eyes can see. Faith is not just an abstract belief or a religious practice. It is the key that unlocks the doors of eternity. Obedience is not about restriction. It is about alignment with divine purpose, and purpose is not just about achieving success. It is about fulfilling the very reason you were created. Many people wonder why faith matters so much. Why does God require belief? Why is trusting in Him such a central part of eternal destiny? The answer is simple. Faith is what connects you to God. Faith is not about seeing with physical eyes, but trusting with spiritual conviction. It is choosing to walk in truth even when the world around you is full of deception. It is believing in the unseen, knowing that God's promises are more real than anything temporary. Faith is the foundation of everything, because without faith, it is impossible to please God. Faith is not passive, it is an active choice, a daily decision to trust God even when circumstances do not make sense. Some people claim they have faith, but when trials come, when difficulties arise, when the road is uncertain, they waver. True faith is tested in the fire. It is proven in the storms of life. When you stand firm in faith, when you refuse to be shaken by temporary struggles, you are declaring that your trust is not in this world, but in God's eternal promises. But faith alone is not enough. Faith must be followed by obedience. Many people believe in God, but they do not follow Him. They acknowledge His existence, but they live as though He has no authority over their lives. True faith produces action. It leads to obedience. Obedience is the demonstration of trust. When God calls, when He speaks, when He directs, obedience is the response that aligns you with His divine will. Some resist obedience because they fear losing control. They want God's blessings, but they do not want to surrender their own plans. But here is the truth. Obedience does not take away your freedom. It leads you into the fullness of what you were created for. The enemy deceives people into believing that following God means losing something, but the reality is that surrendering to God means gaining everything. Obedience is not always easy. Sometimes it requires walking away from what is familiar, letting go of what is comfortable, or making decisions that others do not understand. But when you choose obedience, you step into divine alignment. You walk in the path that was designed for you before you were even born. And when you walk in alignment with God, you will find that His provision, His guidance, and His favor surround you in ways you could never orchestrate on your own. Then comes purpose. Purpose is not something you create for yourself. It is something that was placed within you before you even took your first breath. God did not create you without a reason. You are not an accident. And your life is not random. There is a specific assignment, a unique calling, a divine mission that only you can fulfill. Many people spend their entire lives searching for meaning. They chase careers, relationships, status, and wealth, hoping that these things will give them fulfillment. But true fulfillment is only found in purpose. When you discover why you were created, when you align your life with that purpose, you step into a level of joy, peace, and satisfaction that nothing else can provide. Living without purpose is one of the greatest tragedies. It is possible to be successful in the eyes of the world and still be empty on the inside. It is possible to achieve everything you ever wanted and still feel like something is missing. That is because purpose is not found in external accomplishments. It is found in alignment with God's plan. But walking in purpose requires surrender. It requires letting go of personal agendas and asking God, what do you want me to do? It requires being willing to step out in faith, even when the path is unclear. And it requires trusting that God's plan for your life is greater than anything you could plan for yourself. Faith, obedience, and purpose are not just ideas. They are the keys to eternity. When you stand before God, He will not ask how much money you made, how many awards you won, or how many people knew your name. He will ask if you walked in faith, if you obeyed His voice, and if you fulfilled the purpose He placed within you. Many people assume that because they lived a good life, they will automatically step into eternal reward. But goodness alone is not the requirement for eternity. Alignment with God is. This is why faith, obedience, and purpose matter. They are the markers of a life that is truly submitted to God. Some people spend their whole lives chasing after things that will not last. They build their identity on things that will pass away. But everything in this world is temporary. The houses, the cars, the fame, the possessions, all of it will fade. The only thing that will last is what you did in alignment with God's will. What happens when you stand before God and realize that you spent your life chasing the wrong things? What happens when eternity reveals that you focused on what was temporary instead of what was eternal? The greatest regret is not losing money or missing out on opportunities. The greatest regret is realizing that you wasted the time God gave you. God has given every person the opportunity to choose. He has made the path clear. He has provided His word, His truth, His guidance. But He does not force anyone to follow Him. He gives every person the freedom to decide. Eternity is real. Heaven is real. The presence of God is real. But so is separation from Him. The choices you make now determine where you will be when this life ends. Do not assume that you have time to figure it out later. Time is not guaranteed. Every day is an opportunity to align yourself with God's will, to strengthen your faith, to walk in obedience, and to fulfill your purpose. What you do now matters forever. The way you live today shapes your eternal future. Do not let distractions pull you away from what truly matters. Do not let temporary struggles cause you to doubt God's plan. Stay focused. Stay faithful. Stay obedient. One day you will step into eternity. And on that day, the only thing that will matter is whether you lived a life aligned with God. Make the decision now to walk in faith, to obey His voice, and to fulfill your purpose, because the choices you make today are shaping your destiny beyond this life. God has revealed glimpses of what happens after death, and understanding these truths can transform how we live today. Many people go through life without giving much thought to what comes after this existence. They chase temporary things, seek comfort in material possessions, and pour their energy into pursuits that will eventually fade away. But death is not the end. It is a transition. It is the doorway to eternity. And what happens after we leave this world is far more significant than anything we experience while we are here. God, in His infinite wisdom and love, has not left us without knowledge of what is to come. He has given us glimpses through His Word, through divine revelation, and through the truths that resonate within our very souls. But the question is, do we pay attention? Do we allow these truths to shape how we live, or do we push them aside, living as if this life is all there is? The reality is that every person will face the moment when they step beyond this life and into eternity. There is no escaping it, no delaying it, no bargaining with time. Death is certain for every living being. The rich and the poor, the powerful and the weak, the known and the unknown, all will pass through the same transition. But the destination is not the same for everyone. Where you go after you leave this world is determined by how you live now. God has made it clear that there are two paths. One leads to eternal life in His presence, and the other leads to eternal separation from Him. This is not a matter of opinion or speculation. It is a divine truth that has been revealed since the beginning of time. From Genesis to Revelation, God has provided insight into what awaits beyond this life. He has shown us that our choices, our faith, and our alignment with Him determine where we will spend eternity. Some people live as though death is the end of everything, but that is a deception. It is not the end, it is only the beginning of a new reality. The human soul does not cease to exist. It merely changes its dwelling place. The body may return to dust, but the spirit continues. And what happens next is not a mystery to those who seek divine wisdom. God has revealed that those who walk with Him, who trust in His promises, and who align their lives with His will experience a glorious eternity in His presence. They will step into a realm where pain, suffering, and sorrow no longer exist. They will enter a place where the limitations of this earthly life are removed, where joy is unending, and where peace is eternal. This is the promise for those who belong to Him. But for those who reject Him, who choose to live apart from His truth, the outcome is different. Separation from God is not merely an emotional or philosophical concept, it is a reality. To be without God for eternity means to be without light, without hope, without the very essence of life itself. It is a state of complete loss, not because God is cruel, but because He has given every person the choice to accept or reject Him. The moment we take our last breath on earth, we enter into a new dimension. There is no pause, no waiting room, no second chance to rewrite our story. The time to prepare for eternity is now. That is why understanding these truths is so important. When we grasp what happens after death, it changes how we live. It changes our priorities, our decisions, and our perspective on what truly matters. Many people fear death because they do not understand it. They see it as an unknown, a terrifying void. But for those who walk with God, there is no fear. Death is not an enemy. It is a transition into the fullness of God's promises. It is the moment where faith becomes sight, where all the struggles of this world fade away, and where the soul finally experiences the completeness it was created for. God has also shown us that there will be an accountability for how we lived. This life is not without purpose. It is not a random journey with no consequences. Everything we do here matters in eternity. Every decision, every action, every word spoken carries weight beyond what we can see. We are not just passing through life aimlessly. We are being prepared for something greater. That is why it is so critical to live with intention, to align ourselves with God now, to seek His wisdom, to walk in His ways, to fulfill the purpose for which we were created. Because when we stand before Him, the only thing that will matter is whether we lived in alignment with His truth. There will be a moment when every person faces the reality of eternity. For those who followed God, it will be a moment of incredible joy and fulfillment. But for those who ignored Him, it will be a moment of realization. A realization that life was about more than what they chased after. That they were given opportunities to choose God, but did not take them. God's revelations about what happens after death are not meant to scare us, they are meant to awaken us. They are meant to help us see beyond the temporary distractions of this world and focus on what is eternal. Because when we live with eternity in mind, everything changes. We begin to let go of the things that do not matter. We stop wasting time on meaningless pursuits. We start to value relationships, purpose, and faith over material gain. We begin to walk in wisdom, understanding that the way we live now shapes what happens next. When we embrace this truth, we live differently. We forgive more easily because we understand that grudges and resentment have no place in eternity. We love more deeply because we recognize that people are eternal souls, not just temporary beings. We serve more selflessly because we know that true greatness is found in giving rather than taking. We also begin to live with boldness, knowing that our faith is not in vain. We do not fear the opinions of others because we understand that human approval is temporary, but God's truth is eternal. We do not waver in our commitment to righteousness because we recognize that what we do here matters forever. God has given us glimpses of eternity so that we can live with purpose today. He does not want us to be blind to what is coming. He has provided clear direction showing us the path to eternal life. He has given us the opportunity to choose Him now so that we will not be separated from Him later. This life is temporary, but eternity is forever. We are not just preparing for the next few years, we are preparing for something that never ends. And the way we live now determines what that eternity will look like. For those who walk with God, the future is full of hope. Death is not something to fear because it is simply a step into something greater. But for those who ignore the truth, the future is uncertain. That is why today is the time to seek God, to align with Him, to ensure that when the moment comes, you are ready. Eternity is real, heaven is real, the presence of God is real, and the time to make sure your soul is aligned with Him is now. Let the truth of what happens after death transform how you live today. Let it shift your priorities, deepen your faith, and give you the courage to walk in purpose, because the choices you make now echo into eternity.